The ground is shaking beneath UK politics as an unprecedented storm tears through Labour's heart. Starmer's entire team has resigned. 43 MPs have walked out, live on TV, leaving the party in chaos. The trigger? A jaw-dropping £22 billion scandal so massive and corrupt that even Starmer's closest allies couldn't stay silent. This isn't just political turmoil. It's a complete collapse, a betrayal of trust that could reshape Britain's future forever. From whispers, behind closed doors, to explosive public resignations, the Labour Party is unravelling faster than anyone could have predicted. Ministers who once stood loyally by Starmer's side are abandoning ship with accusations of backroom deals, secret contracts, and corruption so deep it infects the very core of the party. Starmer, once hailed as a figure of integrity, now faces a mutiny led by the very people who helped him rise. His promises of transparency and clean politics lie shattered under the weight of a scandal that exposes greed and deception on an unimaginable scale. The resignation wave started small, mid-level, officials stepping down quietly, but rapidly grew into a flood. Shadow ministers, key parliamentary figures, and senior advisers are resigning publicly, their statements dripping with outrage and betrayal. Each resignation letter is a bombshell, laying bare a web of lies and secret deals involving billions in public and party funds diverted to private firms connected to Starmer's inner circle. This was no ordinary scandal. This was a coordinated betrayal, meticulously concealed for months, until now. Documents leaked to the press revealed contracts worth billions awarded without transparency or public tender. Firms with direct ties to donors and insiders received massive payments for services that either never materialised or remain unaccounted for. One company linked to a close associate of Starmer's chief of staff pocketed $3.4 billion under the guise of consulting services with no records to show for it. Another received over $1 billion for digital outreach with no evidence of campaigns. The revelations ignited fury within the party ranks, igniting demands for immediate action. The public resignation of the shadow chancellor was a defining moment. In a fiery speech in Parliament, he accused Starmer of betrayal, corruption, and a cover-up that undermined the party's core values. Almost instantly, the shadow Foreign Secretary followed, condemning the leadership for prioritising private gain over public service. By the end of the day, over a dozen shadow ministers had resigned, toppling what remained of Starmer's front bench. Labour MPs flooded internal messaging groups with frantic calls for a leadership change, exposing the deep fractures within the party. But the outrage isn't confined to Parliament. Constituency Labour Party branches have issued open letters, demanding Starmer's resignation. Activists who once urged loyalty are burning their membership cards, feeling deceived by a leadership that promised change but delivered corruption. The scandal has turned a party built on trust and working-class roots into a battleground of anger, mistrust, and despair. How did it come to this? Starmer, once a champion of integrity, concealed his own web of control. He shut down investigations, silenced whistleblowers, and kept MPs in the dark while secretly authorising these massive contracts. The carefully maintained image of a straight-talking moderate has cracked, revealing a leader entangled in a shadow network that manipulated party policy, finances, and loyalty for personal and political gain. The scandal's heart is a covert advisory board, a secret group of lobbyists, corporate executives, and media strategists who operated outside any formal party structures. This group shaped Labour's economic policies, watering down public ownership pledges and climate commitments, while controlling who received multi-million-pound contracts for messaging and strategy. Dubbed the shadow slate in leaked emails, this arrangement funneled public and party money to preferred insiders in an elaborate scheme to obscure accountability and enrich a select few. MPs who once defended Starmer now say they were betrayed by the very leadership they trusted. Some were warned to drop concerns or face deselection, others were sidelined, stripped of influence or cut off from party resources. The classic playbook of centralising power and punishing dissent has exploded in the party's face, with damning evidence now public. More MPs are speaking out, fueling a rebellion that could end Starmer's leadership for good. Starmer's disastrous press conference failed to stem the tide. Instead, he appeared defensive and cornered, blaming inherited chaos and calling resignations a distraction. But no one was convinced. The scandal is no accident or simple misjudgment. It's a deliberate, systematic corruption that has shaken Labour to its core. Calls for a no-confidence vote came swiftly, backed by 43 MPs demanding his immediate removal, with numbers growing by the hour. The collapse is historic in speed and scale, outpacing even the downfall of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Yet this crisis is only beginning. Behind the scenes, senior Labour figures are negotiating caretaker leadership arrangements, with Angela Rayner and others rumoured as possible interim heads. But the real question remains: how deep does the rot go? If 22 billion could be funneled through secret channels without detection, what else remains hidden behind Starmer's polished image? The British public watches as their political system faces one of its darkest moments. The betrayal isn't just about money, it's about trust, democracy, and the future direction of a party that once promised to fight for the people. Coming days and weeks will be crucial as revelations unfold, alliances shift, and a party on the brink fights to survive amid scandal and suspicion. The fallout from this scandal will echo for years. Starmer's political career hangs by a thread, and the Labour Party faces an existential crisis that could redefine UK politics. This isn't just a story of corruption, it's a battle for the soul of a movement, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The world is watching. The question now is, who will step up, and who will be left behind in the rubble of a leadership that has crumbled before their eyes? As the scandal continues to unravel, the full scope of the 22 billion corruption crisis grows clearer, revealing a carefully engineered network of deceit that has ensnared Labour at every level. The money involved dwarfs previous political scandals and implicates not just fringe figures, but some of the most powerful names within Starmer's inner circle. Investigative journalists and whistleblowers have uncovered a labyrinth of shell companies, offshore accounts, and fake consultancy firms, all designed to funnel public and party funds away from scrutiny. The complexity of these arrangements suggests months, if not years, of meticulous planning, highlighting how deeply embedded the corruption is within the party machinery. This is no mere accounting error or isolated incident. It is a systemic failure of oversight and governance that has allowed greed and betrayal to flourish unchecked. The magnitude of the financial mismanagement has stunned political analysts and the public alike. For context, $22 billion could fund the entire NHS for months, support thousands of schools, or transform public transport across the country. Yet this vast sum was siphoned off in secret deals, with the ordinary citizens who rely on public services left in the dark. The betrayal cuts deep, especially considering Starmer's public commitment to reversing austerity and investing in social programmes. Instead, the scandal paints a picture of a leadership prioritising personal enrichment and political survival over the very people Labour claims to represent. The revelation has ignited widespread anger and disillusionment among voters, many of whom are reconsidering their support for a party once viewed as a champion of working-class interests. Political insiders describe a toxic culture within Labour's headquarters, where loyalty was bought and dissent punished. Staff and MPs who attempted to raise concerns about the suspicious contracts and irregularities were systematically silenced or marginalised. The party's compliance mechanisms failed spectacularly, with key oversight committees either unaware or complicit in the cover-up. The role of the party treasurer and financial officers is under intense scrutiny as they appear to have turned a blind eye to glaring red flags. The ongoing police investigations and parliamentary inquiries will undoubtedly expose more uncomfortable truths, and many fear that this is only the tip of the iceberg. The scandal's fallout threatens not only Starmer's leadership, but the very foundation of the Labour Party's credibility and future viability. The crisis has also sent shockwaves through the wider UK political landscape. Opposition parties, including the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats, have seized the opportunity to attack Labour's integrity and demand urgent accountability. The government has called for an independent inquiry into how such vast sums could be misappropriated within a major political party. Public trust in politicians, already fragile, has plummeted further amid fears that corruption is pervasive across Westminster. Some commentators warn that this scandal could fuel voter apathy, or conversely, energize radical political movements on both the left and right, as citizens search for alternatives outside the established parties. The timing is critical, with local and national elections looming, and Labour faces the real risk of electoral collapse if it fails to contain the damage swiftly. Internally, the atmosphere within the Labour Party is described as one of panic and uncertainty. Starmer's team, once confident in their ability to manage crises, is now fractured and leaderless. With 43 MPs having publicly resigned, the party is operating on a skeleton staff, struggling to maintain even a semblance of normal function. The mass walkouts represent not just a protest against corruption, but a deep crisis of confidence in Starmer's judgment and leadership style. Behind closed doors, factions within the party are jockeying for position, with some pushing for immediate leadership elections and others advocating a slow, managed transition to preserve party unity. The power vacuum has ignited intense speculation about potential successors and the future ideological direction of Labour, with many fearing a prolonged period of instability and infighting, their frustration and despair. Many feel betrayed by a leadership that promised reform but delivered scandal. Social media campaigns calling for accountability and Starmer's resignation have gone viral, reflecting a growing disconnect between the party elite and its base. The damage to Labour's reputation extends beyond Westminster, with local party branches reporting plummeting membership and volunteer engagement. This grassroots erosion poses a long-term threat to the party's ability to campaign effectively and reconnect with voters in key constituencies. The scandal has not only shattered confidence in leadership, but also undermined the collective morale of those who have dedicated themselves to Labour's cause. The unfolding crisis poses difficult questions about the future of political accountability and transparency in the UK. It exposes glaring weaknesses in how political parties manage finances and monitor internal governance. The scandal reveals the urgent need for reform to prevent similar abuses and restore public faith in democratic institutions. As investigations continue, there will be pressure for legal reforms, enhanced scrutiny of party funding, and stronger protections for whistleblowers who expose corruption. The Labour scandal serves as a grim reminder that without vigilant oversight, even the most respected political leaders can fall prey to greed and misconduct. The coming months will be critical in determining whether the party can survive this historic blow, or if it will fracture irreparably, reshaping the UK's political landscape for years to come. At the centre of this maelstrom stands Keir Starmer, a leader whose political future now hangs in the balance. His handling of the scandal, his response to mass resignations, and his ability to rebuild trust will define the next chapter of his career and the fate of the Labour Party. With calls for his immediate resignation growing louder, Starmer faces a crossroads: attempt to fight on amid dwindling support, or step aside to allow the party to heal. Either choice carries enormous risks. The scandal has not only exposed corruption, but shattered the illusion of a united Labour front, leaving a party fractured, a leader isolated, and a country watching in stunned disbelief. The chaos unleashed by the resignations sent shockwaves far beyond the Labour Party's Westminster stronghold. The public, long hopeful for a renewal under Starmer's leadership, was now faced with a stark reality. The promise of reform had been shattered by a crisis of unimaginable scale. The £22 billion scandal didn't just expose financial wrongdoing. It exposed a culture of secrecy, manipulation, and unchecked power at the very heart of the party. Across the country, ordinary voters felt betrayed and furious. Polls taken in the immediate aftermath revealed a staggering collapse in Labour's support, with many abandoning the party entirely, while others debated if the once mighty political force was now beyond repair. Social media exploded with outrage, as clips of angry MPs and activists condemning Starmer's leadership went viral. Hashtags calling for his immediate resignation trended for days, while independent watchdogs and opposition politicians seized the moment to demand urgent investigations. The scandal transcended typical political bickering. It became a matter of public trust in democracy itself. Commentators described it as a political earthquake, shaking the foundations of Labour and threatening to reshape the UK's political landscape for years to come. Inside Labour's parliamentary corridors, the atmosphere was nothing short of toxic. Whispers of mutiny grew louder, with factions forming around potential successors and strategies for damage control. The internal WhatsApp groups, once used for coordination and morale boosting, were now battlegrounds of accusations, desperation, and frantic attempts to salvage careers. The collapse of Starmer's front bench was not just a symbolic defeat, it represented a total loss of control. Senior advisers who once praised his steady hand were now openly criticising his judgment and warning that the party was headed for an electoral disaster if immediate action wasn't taken. Yet the most damaging blow was the exposure of the Covert Advisory Board and its role in orchestrating policy and finances outside democratic oversight. This group had operated like a shadow government, funneling millions into private firms, shaping the party's platform and silencing dissent. For many MPs, this was the ultimate betrayal. They had believed they were working within a transparent and accountable system, only to discover a tightly controlled network designed to enrich a select few. The sense of betrayal was so deep that even some of Starmer's staunchest defenders began to question their allegiance. As the scandal continued to unravel, leaked emails revealed threats against MPs who dared speak out, warnings of deselection, cuts to funding, and exclusion from key committees. This culture of intimidation struck fear into many who had previously stayed silent. But with the tide turning, the courage to expose the truth grew. More resignations followed, some accompanied by damning testimonies detailing attempts to cover up the financial irregularities. Each new revelation added fuel to the fire, making it impossible for Starmer's leadership to survive. Behind the scenes, high-profile figures like Angela Rayner and other senior MPs were reportedly in secret talks to form a caretaker leadership team. Their goal was clear: restore order, rebuild trust, and prepare the party for a swift leadership election. However, the damage was done. The Labour Party faced a crisis unlike any in its modern history, a crisis that questioned the very values it claimed to uphold. The road ahead was uncertain, with no easy solutions in sight. As the nation watched, the collapse of Starmer's leadership became not just a political story, but a cautionary tale about power, corruption, and the cost of silence. The collapse of Starmer's leadership is unfolding before our eyes, a dramatic unravelling that demands attention, not just from politicians, but from every citizen who cares about the future of this country. This scandal is not just about one man or one party. It's a wake-up call exposing how power can be abused, how trust can be shattered, and how democracy itself can be put at risk. Now more than ever, the people must hold their leaders accountable. Don't let this story fade away into the background or become just another headline forgotten by tomorrow. Stay informed, demand transparency, speak out against corruption and secrecy wherever you see it. Share this information with your friends, family, and community. The strength of a democracy lies in the vigilance of its people. If we stay silent, now the consequences will be far worse than any scandal could ever reveal. This is the moment to make your voice heard, before it's too late.